Jurassic World is a great movie that helped rejuvenate much-needed life into the Jurassic Park franchise after a 14-year-long drought while cleansing our palates from the bitter aftertaste left by Jurassic Park 3. Now, while I do love Jurassic World and think it's a great movie, I would be wrong if I said this movie was perfect. Just like your average movie, Jurassic World has its fair share of flaws. The problem is that despite the fact that the movie's been around for 6 years, people are still too damn incompetent at properly criticizing it. Most of the critiques thrown at the movie tend to be surface level, preferences, or shows a lack of knowledge of the franchise. For this video, I plan to provide proper critiques for Jurassic World. Now, in order to properly criticize the movie, we should first go over invalid critiques to show how Jurassic World should not be criticized. Let's begin, shall we?
Imagine if we had these puppies in Tora Bora.
Now, if we're talking about the infamous John Sayles script that had dinosaurs in the military taking on bad guys along with having Deinonychus spliced with human and dog DNA, this critique would be completely valid. Yeah, no, this was an actual script, and had it been approved, it would have made Jurassic Park 3 look like a cinematic masterpiece. I can see where people think the idea of dinosaurs in the military is ridiculous, which is the point made in the movie. One of the themes of Jurassic Park is humanity's arrogance in thinking that they can control nature. It makes perfect sense for someone to think that dinosaurs can be used as military weapons. Animals have in fact been used for militaristic purposes, and given how intelligent the raptors in the franchise are, it makes sense to study that aspect of them. From Hoskins' perspective, I can understand his desires to reduce war casualties while knowing that he's arrogant in the process. The movie is pretty self-aware about it and even takes the time to point out how crazy it is to use dinosaurs for militaristic purposes, and knows to avoid taking the concept too far.
Nothing in Jurassic World is natural.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park franchise were never 100% scientifically accurate. There is a scene in Jurassic Park where Mr. DNA specifically acknowledges that frog DNA was used to fill in the gene sequence gaps, which would be a dead giveaway that these dinosaurs aren't completely accurate. Jurassic Park 3, out of all movies in the franchise, even has Alan Grant refer to the InGen dinosaurs as genetically engineered theme park monsters. Jurassic World takes the time to acknowledge the inaccuracies by pulling out dialogue that is pretty much from the Jurassic Park novel.
If their genetic code was pure, many of them would look quite different, but you didn't ask for reality.
Even in the Jurassic Park movies, creating a purebred dinosaur is a challenge, so it makes sense that they aren't entirely accurate. It's important to understand that Jurassic Park is a science fiction franchise, not a documentary. If you want to see scientifically accurate dinosaurs, go watch a documentary. Now, don't get me wrong, I would love to see some scientifically accurate dinosaurs in the franchise. The good news is that we might in fact be getting that in Jurassic World Dominion. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait an extra year, and we'll just have to wait and see how accurate the claims are. And hopefully, the Pyroraptor will have proper wings and feathers. When it comes to shitty critiques for Jurassic World, this is definitely one of, if not the most common one. Seriously, this tends to be the one that tends to pop up on Twitter every month or two. People's complaints are that it's too violent, which makes me wonder if they've even watched the previous movies in the franchise, because in comparison to other death scenes, this is pretty tame. Now, there's nothing wrong with being sad that Zara was killed off. I understand being sad for a character you like dying, and I do wish she was more fleshed out, but I guess they didn't want you to feel too sad for her. She didn't deserve her death, but the animals in Jurassic World are merely animals, so they don't care about that. Nature does not discriminate, it is unbiased and unprejudiced. I mean, pretty much everyone agrees that Eddie Carr and Udesky didn't deserve to die, but there aren't people throwing hissy fits and temper tantrums over their unjust brutal deaths. I will also add that the behavior of the pteranodons in the Jurassic Park franchise seem to be pretty consistent here. They tortured Billy the same way they tortured Zara, and the only reason he didn't get eaten was because there wasn't a mosasaurus looking for food. I'm going to word this as nicely as possible. If you think Zara's death is too violent, then Jurassic Park might not be the franchise for you, and I suggest you find another dinosaur franchise to enjoy that isn't Primal. Because if you can't handle Jurassic World violence, then you will be able to handle Primal. One last thing, I will also add that Katie McGrath seemed perfectly fine with the death scene, and she was even excited to do it.
We're about to die in like a very cool way. So they're gonna pull me up on that crane, straight up in the air.
I will also add that I gotta give her credit for doing her own stunts.
You want to consult here or in my bungalow?
This is the one that opened up Pandora's box for awful critiques about Jurassic World. Don't you hate having to wait 14 years to only have the excitement of your favorite franchise being renewed rained on from a bad tweet? I sure as hell do. Well, you can thank Josh Whedon bringing a clip where Owen and Claire engage in what appears to be banter or 70s era sexism. Yes, the same Josh Whedon who's currently being accused of multiple instances of abuse on multiple projects, including his time during reshoots for Justice League. This is what a male feminist looks like.
Oh, Joss Whedon. Sensitive Joss Whedon.
The banter scene between Owen and Claire was funny when I first saw it, and it's even funny when you think about how people freaked out over something so harmless. I'm pretty sure if Jurassic Park were released today, people would have lost it with Ian hitting on Ellie for the first hour of the movie. Now, were Owen's jokes unprofessional? Yes, but they weren't sexist. Listen, Jurassic World does in fact have its fair share of flaws. Sexism is not one of them. Alright, now that we've listed the invalid critiques on Jurassic World, we can now proceed with presenting valid criticism for the movie. As a disclaimer, these critiques are intended to help the filmmakers understand what worked and didn't work so that we can get the best movie possible in Jurassic World Dominion. Well, here goes nothing. Okay, I really don't want to talk about this one, so let's get this over with. While this critique has some validity, it's very surface level. Now before someone brings it up in the comments, yes, I am aware that the Jurassic Park franchise has moments where you have to suspend disbelief. Claire being able to run around in high heels throughout the entire movie like a superhero is not just a moment. Well, at least there's some consistency with Owen acting like a superhero in Fallen Kingdom, and the little girl in Battle of Big Rock being too calm for someone who just had a near-death experience. Not necessarily the type of consistency you want in a Jurassic Park movie, but at least it's something, right? Now, the reason I threw this critique up in the air is because it tends to be used as low-hanging fruit to gain easy internet points for bashing the movie. In defense of Jurassic World, the one scene where Claire leads Rexy with the flare while running in heels is believable because she's on leveled surface and it's a moment where it's easier to suspend your disbelief. The other scenes of her running in the forest with uneven ground are a bit unrealistic, but they do a good job of not showing her feet to sell it, so good camera work? Alright, with the high heels out of the way, let's go after some critiques that aren't surface level.
How'd they even get one of these things started?
While I do understand that Jurassic Park is a science fiction franchise, there still needs to be some realism involved, which is something that the movie tends to forget about here and there. While I am no expert on cars, I find it highly unrealistic that you could easily start up a 20-plus-year-old abandoned Jeep by simply changing a battery. What about gas? The fuel should have ran out by then. What about the brakes? Can the Jeep still start up without the need of another car and jumper cables to jump it off? Maybe Zach and Greg managed to find some gas, but I feel it would have been important to show them acquiring some, even if they just found the gas tank lying in a Jurassic World Jeep. Overall, with the exception of this one scene, the nostalgia in Jurassic World was beautifully utilized and helped tell a new story instead of being a soulless rehash. This is one of the rare moments where the nostalgia wasn't properly utilized, which is unfortunate because with a little tweaking, this scene might have worked enough to temporarily suspend disbelief.
One of the things that's missing when we finish here in a couple of weeks is we have all these great scenes, but there are no dinosaurs in them.
Now I want to make this very clear. CGI in itself is not a bad thing. It's actually a great tool that can be used to tell a story and create scenes that would be considered impossible to do with just a camera alone. The problem here is the over-reliance of CGI, which most likely originated from the success of Jurassic Park. What some may not realize is that the visual effects in Jurassic Park work so well and still look great to this day is because they only used CGI when it was absolutely necessary to do so. More practical effects would have also helped the actors have better interactions with the dinosaurs, which is why the dying apatosaurus scene works so well. I should also claim that I don't think it's fair to blame the filmmakers. Apparently the budget given to Jurassic World wasn't very big for your average movie. Don't forget Jurassic World was considered a bit of a risk, which is why the toys to the movie, were to put it nicely, don't look that great. Now some of the CGI is actually really good. For example, the Indominus Rex looks phenomenal and you can tell where the VFX team committed the majority of their time in regards to CGI. Good news is that Jurassic World Dominion should be using more practical effects than both Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom combined, and Sam Neill even confirmed that we're getting a Giganotosaurus animatronic.
Actually push them to not let the dinosaurs look like they did in the previous movies.
While the dinosaurs being scientifically inaccurate aren't an issue here, I do however have issues with their designs. The issue here is that the Jurassic Park franchise already has superior designs that feel ignored. Remember the majestic Stegosaurus from the Lost World Jurassic Park? Well, guess what? It's now a generic off-brand design with a droopy tail.
Look how they mess with my boy.
The Pteranodons have gone through the most redesigns of the franchise and I really wish they'd used the design from the Lost World. But the Jurassic World design is better than what we got in Jurassic Park 3. At least they don't have teeth. Even though Rexy's design doesn't look entirely like her 1993 design in Jurassic Park, I feel like there was some effort committed to make her look as similar as possible. It's still a major downgrade from what we got in 1993, but at least you can tell that it's the original T-Rex from Jurassic Park. To be fair, they did improve on the design for Fallen Kingdom, and hopefully she'll receive more improvements for Dominion. Now, not all of the designs are bad. The raptors are nice, and I like how each one has their unique designs to help us know which one is which when you can see them in the light. And I will also add that Fallen Kingdom would end up giving us a great Carnotaurus design, and Battle of Big Rock gave us an improved Allosaurus with proper wrist.
So far in a 24-hour period, she has just really grown. I'm just really proud of Claire.
While none of the characters are hateable, none of them feel necessarily great and leave a lot to be desired in the sense of character, except for Lowry and Simon Mizrahi. Lowry's the best human character in the Jurassic World trilogy, while Simon Mizrahi is a great character as well, and it was sad to see him killed off. Here's the thing. The first 3 Jurassic Park movies have shown us that it's possible to have great characters along with cool dinosaur scenes. Owen being a former Navy soldier who has formed a bond with the raptors and has a friendship with Barry is really interesting. But the problem is that it's not fleshed out. While Claire is in fact an interesting character, she's not protagonist material. Don't get me wrong, I think Bryce Dallas Howard does a good job with what she's given, but the issue isn't with her. It's Claire. Her character arc in Jurassic World is half-assed. I mean, it's nice that she stopped seeing the dinosaurs as mere assets and started treating them as actual animals, but it seems that she doesn't really care about the people who are affected by her criminal negligence. I can already sense that people are going to try to tell me that she wasn't criminally negligent, that it was Dr. Wu and Hodgkin. Yes, while she wasn't fully aware of the true purposes of the Indominus Rex, she and Simon Mizrahi did, however, approve the creation and using it as a theme park attraction. She also didn't do a good job of taking the time to know the complete genome of the hybrid. Also, when Owen told her to evacuate the island, her response was, "We never reopen." So yeah, while Jurassic World's downfall isn't entirely her fault, she still deserves a good portion of the blame. Especially how she came across as a yes person who only cared about meeting deadlines. Hey, remember how people tend to freak out about Zara's death? Guess what? There is in fact some valid criticism about that scene. What? Yeah, and I'm honestly surprised it's barely acknowledged. We never see Claire acknowledge Zara after the incident, and given that she was assigned to keep an eye on her nephews and even died as a result of looking for them, it makes Claire come across as inconsiderate and shows that she really didn't care about her employees. Not only does it show a lack of respect for her employees, it just makes it harder for me, the audience, to like her as a protagonist. This should be the part of the movie where she starts caring about other people besides herself. Merely having Claire ask Zach and Gray where Zara was and sharing her horrified reaction would have fixed this issue. Apparently she does ask about Zara in the novelization, but it's not in the movie, therefore it doesn't count. Let's compare this to Ian Malcolm after Eddie Carr's death. As egotistical as Ian has a tendency to be, he takes the time to acknowledge his sacrifice and to show him respect. Basically being considerate and making Ian a likable protagonist, which he already was before this scene because he's the brilliant voice of reason for the franchise. My issue with her negligence isn't due to the mistakes that she has made, it's the fact that she doesn't feel any remorse over the deaths that resulted from her mistakes while she suffers no repercussions whatsoever. Then again, this may be more of a flaw with Fallen Kingdom than Jurassic World. Well, if I ever get around to criticizing Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, this will definitely be on the list. The best way to determine the quality of your protagonist is to see if you're able to enjoy scenes they're in without any dinosaurs. Alan and Ian definitely accomplished this in multiple instances, including the launch scene in the first movie, which is one of the greatest scenes in the franchise. Hell, Alan is the best part of Jurassic Park 3 and saves the movie from being bad. This works because Alan and Ian are great, well-written characters. When Owen or Claire appear on screen, I'm just ready to see the dinosaurs. And all I have to say is thank goodness Alan, Ellie, and Ian are returning for Jurassic World Dominion, because we need some good protagonists. As a disclaimer, I should add that even though Owen is not on the same level of quality of a protagonist as Alan and Ian, I feel like he has the potential to be a great character, but for some reason the writers don't flesh him out as much as they could, and this is nothing against Chris Pratt. I absolutely love him, and he's one of my favorite actors along with being one of the few people left in Hollywood who seems like a genuine human being. He was a perfect casting choice for Owen, and I'm glad he's part of the Jurassic Park franchise. So if you really want to summarize my issues here, it's not the actors, it's the writing. I've seen the Jurassic Park franchise at its best, so I know the Jurassic World movies have the potential to be better than they already are. Despite the critiques I have for Jurassic World, I absolutely love this movie. Seeing a fully functional dinosaur theme park was something I've always wanted to see since I was a kid. Despite the flaws I mentioned, it's clear that Colin Trevorrow has a genuine love and respect for Jurassic Park, and given how a lot of franchises have been destroyed, it's honestly a rare breath of fresh air. The theme of commercialism was wonderfully utilized and does a great job of showing us how humans are never truly satisfied and always want bigger and better. Another thing I appreciate about Jurassic World is that while it's aware that it's not a cinematic masterpiece, it understands that it's a fun summer blockbuster and fully embraces it. Last, and most certainly not least, I cannot wait to see what Colin has in store for us for Jurassic World Dominion. Well, I hope you enjoyed hearing how Jurassic World should be properly criticized. Thanks for watching.